The Pariah is actually one of my most anticipated books of the year. It's one of them, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of lived up to my expectation. So this book, I had no idea what it was about. I only bought it based on the cover, which is something that I understand is a toxic trait of mine, which is just how book readers are. But when I was reading this, I actually enjoyed it more. And it's funny because this is the third book in a row that I've read that is actually first person, and I'm like, when is this ever going to end? I'm not used to reading first person, so when I'm reading this book, I was like, holy crap. I didn't expect it to be the third book in a row, because I read Hollow City, and then Red Rising, and now The Pariah. So, The Pariah sets off a pretty mild tone. You are following a main character named Aylwin. Aylwin? I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's about 17 when you meet him, and in this book, it feels like my biggest complaint is there's 3 different parts in this book, and it feels like this could have been like a book, and like these 3 parts could have each been a book, and I think it would have been interesting. So the pacing is pretty fast, which is interesting, and it's really hard for you to like characters that are only in the pages for about 50 to 60 pages and then they're like gone, and you're trying to set the tone because it's a revenge tale, and I'm not used to reading revenge tales too much. So while I started reading this, I was like, all right, what is the premise of this? I literally bought it because it looked like Assassin's Creed. So, and I'm a pretty big fan of Assassin's Creed. Like I said, I don't read a lot of revenge tales in my actual novels, but in like manga, I've been reading a lot more revenge tales, so it was kind of different reading like a fantasy book that is revenge tale instead, which, like I said, was a lot different. I have enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 stars because it was just interesting. But with first person, though, like I said, it was, you're only going through the eyes of Aylwin. So everyone around you, you don't really know too much with them unless what he talks about. And Aylwin as a character is so interesting. There's times where I like him, and there's other times where I don't, because he seems very arrogant. Now, arrogance is fine when you're 17, but he does a time skip when Aylwin's like 21, 22, somewhere around there, and it feels like he's never matured. You know what I'm saying? Because usually when a character's super arrogant, they have to learn from a mistake, which he clearly does when he's 17. I thought it would reflect of his growth after the 4-year time skip, but it never really does, and it kind of took me away from the book because he would be a very arrogant character. And yes, he does get punished for his arrogance, which makes sense, but you'd imagine the character would grow after the arrogance of his mistakes, because usually that's how characters grow, but some of them don't. And in this one, he doesn't. He still is trying to do what he was doing when he was 17, because he was kind of raised by a house that a bunch of thieves out in the in the world. So I guess his idea of, I have to escape this, I have to escape this, I have to do this, I have to do this, constantly is just ingrained in his mind. And I understand that part, but at the same time, like, as a reader, you're like, man, you could just not do this, because he's doing a revenge tale. There's parts in revenge where I understand where you should do it, but in this book, Aylwin is doing a revenge for someone else that I'm like, is it really worth it? The person that you are doing revenge for is like gone now. So is it worth it? And to him it is, because it's technically like, his like father. That's my biggest pet peeve about it, is like, yes, revenge tales I usually like because there's always a really big meaning behind it, but this one doesn't feel like a very good one. Like, at the same time, I really enjoyed the story. I thought the story was really good and compelling. And am I going to read the second book? Absolutely. I'll probably read the second book in like November, but I was expecting like a heist book more than anything, because the vibe it gave me, just the cover, it looks like a book that would be about heist and Assassin's Creed style, which it wasn't. Like, they are a group of thieves that you start out with, of who Aylwin is with, but none of them really feel like a family or anything, because they all don't trust each other. They all talk about like killing one another. Like, Aylwin, when you meet some of these characters that he's around with the thieves, he has literally said, he's like, if I fight him, he's bigger than me, but I'm better with knives than he is, so it would be a really good match. And I'm like, damn, you like know these people for years and you guys are just threatening to like kill each other. You can't really trust each other. It blew my mind while reading that. I'm like, that's a weird way to do it. And I mean, now it's a whole different ballgame, but like while I was reading it, I'm like, that's such an odd way of bringing up these characters and stuff. Because like he instantly is like, yeah, well, we know each other, but if we had to like fight, this is what's going to happen. And it's like, why would you want to think about those measures already? But those are just kind of my thoughts about it. But like I said, I gave the book a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a really fun read. It's different than what I'm used to reading because, fantasy does get kind of dull. So Revenge Tale is kind of fun and interesting. Am I going to read the second one? Absolutely. I'm going to be reading that in November. The third one will probably be in like January if I like the second one. And we'll see. I don't even own the second one yet, so I'll have to buy it. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I do appreciate it. Make sure you check out all my links down below. My book is available on Amazon. Go check it out if you guys want. Follow me on Instagram. I would love that. Add me on Goodreads. I want to see what you guys are all reading because I would really appreciate it. And I'm almost to 100 friends on Goodreads, so that'd be awesome to reach to 100 friends. And, of course, the last and most important thing is make sure you guys stay safe, stay hungry, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.